I hear you talk about rage and anger a lot. Do you feel like the suppression is, I mean, if you had to like have a pie chart or percentage of different emotions that people typically suppress, would you say most of the time it's, say, rage or sadness or fear, or is it even possible to separate those?
Well, it's interesting. There was, sadly, he's not alive anymore, a neuroscientist. His name is Dr. Jaak Panksepp, who looked at the neuroscience of emotions. Affective neuroscience, he called it. Affective neuroscience. Not effective, affective neuroscience. And he distinguished some brain systems that we share with other mammals, some rudimentary but essential brain systems. And he capitalized them just for nomenclature's sake. And each of these brain systems were associated with certain brain chemicals and certain circuits in the brain. And they were not, they were very much intermingled, but there was a circuitry for rage. He called it RAGE, rage. There was also circuitry for panic and grief. He called it panic grief, capital panic / grief. There's one for fear. There's one for lust. There's one for seeking. There's one for play. And one or two others. And each of these are necessary for human life, mammalian life, actually. Now, the rage system isn't an aberration, it's part of our apparatus. It shows up, it gets activated when we're threatened and our boundaries are threatened. You want to find out what rage is? Try to mess with the bear cubs of a bear mother. You'll find out what rage is. It's there for a good reason. We have a system for care, CARE, which makes us care for one another, especially for the young of the species. Without that, mammals don't survive. If the adults didn't have a care system in their brains, no infant would survive. We have a panic and grief system, panic grief, which is what the young feels when the care is absent. They feel panic, they feel sadness. Now, what I find is that the most commonly repressed are the rage and the panic and grief. And when you repress that, now, when you repress anger, healthy anger, you're actually suppressing your immune system. Why? I could go into the science of it, but in a nutshell, mind and body cannot be separated. And when you look at what is the role of healthy anger, is to protect your boundaries. It's to make sure that something that shouldn't intrude on you doesn't. That's emotionally or physically the case. Sean, if I were in the same room with you, if I were to attack you, you should mount a rage response. Oh, you can't do this to me, And you might do the same thing if I was emotionally intrusive. That's to keep out what is unhealthy. In fact, the role of the emotional system in general is very simply let in what's healthy and nourishing and keep out what's not. That's basically the role of emotions. Now, what is the role of the immune system? Trick question. It's to keep out what's unhealthy and let in what's healthy. It's the same as the emotions. In fact, the immune system and the emotional system are part and parcel of the same apparatus. When you're suppressing rage, your healthy rage I'm talking about, there's such a thing as healthy anger, then there's unhealthy anger. When you're suppressing healthy anger, you're suppressing your immune system, documentably so, physiologically so. But this is where therapy and inquiry comes into it. Because why would somebody repress healthy anger? Well, let me put it to you. Why would somebody repress healthy anger? What would you people say about that? Anybody want to answer that?
Melissa?
Because it's not safe to do so.
Under what circumstances? I agree.
Connection, relationship.
Exactly. And exactly when? Particularly when, let me put it that way.
A caregiver, somebody that is needed for care. It would sever the relationship that would give you the care that is needed.
I'm completely with you, and I totally agree with you. But when most particularly in life?
When you're a child.
Exactly. So that in that case, you would agree with me that the suppression of anger is actually a benefit, because it allowed you to keep that relationship without which you can't survive. But that same benefit becomes a deficit later on. So most commonly, it's what I see suppressed as anger. And of course, if you look at even the language, like we call depression is mental health disorder because of chemicals, nonsense. Look at the word depression. What does it mean to depress something? It means to push it down. What do we push down? We push down our emotions. Why do we push them down? Because as Melissa points out, it's too dangerous to feel them when they would threaten the attachment relationship. So the pushing down of healthy anger can lead you to autoimmune disease or cancer, neurological disease like ALS. And by the way, you know something? They've done studies. Even with people with ALS who express anger, they live longer than people with ALS who don't express anger. I could talk at length about that. There was a study of 2,000 women in the States. Women who, over 10 years, women who were unhappily married and didn't express their feelings of unhappiness were in those 10-year period 4 times as likely to die as those women who were unhappily married, but they talked about their feelings. So the repression of healthy anger and sadness and grief, they support you. It undermines your physiology. I could go on about multiple sclerosis, fibromyalgia, in all of these conditions, where you've got migraines, for God's sakes. Meet anybody with migraine, they got a lot of suppressed rage. That's what happens. And sadness, of course. If your parents need you to be happy, you'll put on a happy face. Yes, everything is okay. And then you go through life and everybody thinks what a nice guy you are, what a nice person you are. Always joyful, always cheerful. And then they come to your funeral. And they wonder, why is it that the good die young? The good die young because they suppress themselves.
Dr. Mate views anger not as an isolated, standalone emotion, but as a complex interplay of past experiences, current triggers, and future anxieties. His approach to understanding and addressing anger is not about suppression or denial, but about comprehension and expression. It's about tracing the roots of our rage, understanding its triggers, and learning how to express it in a healthy, constructive manner. Dr. Mate's perspective offers a fresh lens to view our anger, not as a demon to be battled, but as a messenger to be understood. It invites us to dig deeper, to look beyond the surface of our fury, and uncover the hidden narratives that fuel it. It's a journey of introspection, self-awareness, and ultimately, liberation. In the words of Dr. Mate, the first step toward change is awareness. The second step is acceptance. This encapsulates his approach to anger. Awareness of our anger, its triggers, and its roots. followed by acceptance of it as a part of our emotional landscape. It's only then that we can begin to channel it constructively, transforming it from a source of discord to a tool for personal growth. If we want to address anger, we must first understand its roots, as Gabor Maté teaches us. As we delve deeper into Dr. Maté's approach in the following scenes, let us keep this thought at the forefront of our minds. After all, the journey to managing our anger begins with understanding it. Gabor Maté views anger not as a problem in itself, but as a symptom of underlying issues. This perspective, while seemingly simple, is revolutionary in its approach to understanding and addressing anger. Gabor Maté's perspective is grounded in compassion and empathy, viewing anger as a natural human reaction to unmet needs or unresolved trauma. He suggests that anger is not something to be suppressed or feared, but rather understood and addressed. It's a signal, a call to action, urging us to look deeper into our emotions and experiences. According to Maté, our anger often stems from a place of pain, unfulfilled needs, or a sense of injustice. It's our body's way of communicating that something is not quite right, that we're hurting in some way. It's our body's cry for help. However, Maté cautions that while anger can be a signal, it's not a solution. Reacting in anger can often lead to more harm than good, escalating situations, and creating more conflict. So how do we respond to this signal without causing more harm? Here's where empathy and self-awareness come into play. Maté emphasizes the importance of understanding our own anger, of being aware of what triggers it, and the feelings and needs it's signaling. By doing so, we can respond to our anger in a way that addresses the underlying issues, rather than exacerbating them. In the same vein, empathy allows us to understand the anger of others. By recognizing that their anger, like ours, is a signal of unmet needs or unresolved trauma, we can respond with compassion and understanding rather than defensiveness or aggression. This approach to anger, rooted in empathy and self-awareness, allows us to use our anger as a tool for growth and healing, rather than a weapon of destruction. It's not about eliminating anger, but understanding it, listening to it, and responding to it in a way that promotes healing and resolution. As Gabor Maté says, the question is not why the addiction, but why the pain. Similarly, the question is not why the anger, but why the pain. And how can we address it in a way that leads to healing and growth, rather than more pain and conflict? So how do we release this anger that Gabor Maté talks about? Well, the first technique Gabor Maté emphasizes is mindfulness. It's about being fully present in the moment, fully aware of our thoughts, emotions, and physical sensations.